Okay, awesome. Jim, thanks for seeing me.
Anytime. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sitting down with us. This is now our second iteration of the CF Interiors interview.
It's a big deal.
Concert Series 2.0. So
Yeah,
we got the opportunity
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, well, it was Allison's, so you got really big shoes
I'm
to
not
fill.
stressed. It's fine.
I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. We've known each other for almost a decade now.
Probably at least.
Yeah. And always have really enjoyed working alongside you, referring customers your way, and just, being friends with you. I think you're a really cool guy, and I think the way you do business is very admirable.
Thanks. Likewise.
And Sonata is what I would say aligned with CF Interiors, both in Vancouver and in Calgary and Edmonton and Red Deer. And
Agreed.
So, I look at you guys as somebody that I have no problem referring people to, and I think that's probably the same for you.
100%. Yeah. I know I can send them your way, and kind of my rule of thumb is refer them to you. I know you're not going to drop the ball on them. You're not going to tick them off. You're going to give them the same respect I would when they come in here. So.
And I think that that's something that's like really interesting is when I talk with designers in the marketplace, and I talk with people, in the industry about CF Interiors, I always get really, really positive feedback. And it seems that every designer that I run into, whether they work with us or not, knows of you guys or works with you.
Oh, good.
And so, just tell me, how have you been able to cultivate such a following?
Just honestly, it's just from the clients we have. It's been a lot of referrals, just a lot of relationship building. We've got a really cool community in Calgary, same with Vancouver. Just a good group of clients that, if you treat them good, they're going to refer their friends to you. And the business model just makes sense for them.
Got it. And you guys went direct to trade in 2019?
2019, we transitioned. It took probably about 6 years building up to that, to learn from designers, to quiz them and kind of have those conversations of what's it going to take to earn your business? What if we go trade only, what's that going to look like for you? What's going to help you? So really kind of quizzing them, learning from them, and then molding a program around the feedback we're getting from them.
That's awesome. And as you kind of developed that program and found some of those specific needs to fill for designers, what are some of those unique challenges that come up time and time again where they're like, if my furnishing company and my decor company could do this, then I would move my business over there. What are some of those anchors? As
much as I'd love to say it's the pretty showroom, it's the warehouse. So looking after logistics, dealing with the claims, dealing with the not pretty stuff. So being able to handle all the orders in one place, do one full install, and just making sure their attention can be spent on the install, not on trying to track down pieces and where's this and this is broken and how am I going to get that replaced and all that good stuff. So taking that part of the equation is nice for them. And then just really being thoughtful and mindful of what we have on the floor, making sure you've got enough to sit in, enough different fills to be able to try in, and have knowledgeable staff that really care about the clients and the designers. Knowing there's always a budget, so knowing how to best spend that budget, where to really allocate the money and why, and making sure that we're getting them, really the best bang for their buck.
And I've, in the few projects that I've worked on furniture with you directly, and I've seen emails back and forth with other designers with you directly. So do you not sleep? Are you a machine? How are you able to process so many requests for information? And I think even the last time we needed some new chairs for the showroom, you sent me literally 30 minutes later, 40 SKUs. How are you doing that?
It's a lot of sugar for sure, but just knowing the brands as well as we do helps. That's really, I can't do the design part. I am horrible. I'm not a creative person. So when somebody says, hey, here's what I need, here's what I have, or here's the purpose it's going to be for, cool. Out of the 300 vendors, there's a reason we carry each one. They each have their niche. So just really knowing.
300 different vendors?
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That's why we keep wine and champagne on hand, just to get us through those days. So just knowing the purpose for each one and being able to refer them to another designer, say here's the ones that are going to meet your needs. Here's the criteria you gave us. Here's the ones that are going to check those boxes. What's the best bet going to be for you? And really, the way we've got it set up with all the team members here, we've got a lot of admin. So as much as it looks like I'm doing all my emails and all that kind of stuff, I'm your point person. There's 3 people behind me that are doing the sourcing and doing the suggestions and really kind of working together with me to make sure you get answered 30 minutes later.
And that is unbelievable, your guys' response time. That makes a lot of sense. So you have a little secret.
We've got a little hidden network.
Yeah.
So really you've got about 3 or 4 different people all working on your email at the same time. So if you email me and you're like, hey Jim, what's the ETA? Great, that's going to Olivia. If you're saying, hey, can you source that? Me and Jen are going to work on that. Jim, can you do a quote? Cool, I've got Nina who's working on that. Can you help me out with logistics going to Palm Springs? Yeah, Tori's working on that. It all funnels to me so I can just be your point person. You're not trying to figure out who you're supposed to email for what. Me and you have the relationship. So we're going to keep that conversation going. But you've got, 3, 4, 5 different people all really putting their skill sets to work just to be able to answer you the best and the fastest we can.
And that allows people that are in the design and construction community to keep doing what they're best at because you guys are taking care of the rest.
100%. If I know you're sitting at your laptop, actually, you have 30 minutes to focus on that job and that project, I want to make sure I'm getting you the answers as quick as I can while you're sitting there working on it. I don't want to catch you when you're going into a meeting and now you're not seeing my email till tomorrow. Now the client's not getting answered till Friday. I want everyone to get answered as quick as they can.
Love it. When you guys made that transition to direct to trade, were there some challenges from a business perspective as you kind of made that adjustment, or did you prepare for that leap?
You prepare for it as much as you can. You're diving into the unknown. It's not like there was a blueprint for us to follow. It was kind of a one-off. So we had all the feedback from our clients, but you're going into it just ready to learn and just taking all the information you can from people and learning from your mistakes and trying to avoid as many as you can in the process. But really, when we kind of dove into it, it was learning more about needing someone that's going to help source, needing more admins that are going to help with the ETA checks, needing somebody who's going to look after claims. So really, as the designers and the conversation happen as they come in, we're just there to really solve the problems. We don't know what the problems are until a designer comes in and says, here's my headache. Well, you're going to hear it from 10 others. If they're facing it, a whole bunch of other designers are as well.
And I think that, in conversations with some of our shared clients and some of my clients on the design side, I asked them, like, what is the reason that you would work with Sonata, or why do you work with Jim and CF? And it was exactly that you guys like solve problems for me, take headaches off my table, or that you can, fit in unique solutions. And I think that that's like a skill that has to be honed over time.
I think so. And I think it's when you actually, care about the client, like they're my personal friend outside of work and inside of work. So when you care for them as a human being, you're going to give them the best service you can. You're going to go to bat for them. They know you're going to advocate for them, for their clients. They know that they can come to you because you're going to support them. In the good times, when something goes wrong, they know you're going to have their back too. So.
And do you think that's something that is absent from competitors, from people in the space, that they're focused on the kind of short-term gain of making a sale or the next project, and they're not thinking about that person as just another human being?
Oh, for sure. I think the customer service thing, kind of went out the window years ago in place of profits. You look at some of these other stores, they're franchises, they've got, shareholders and boards of directors and CEOs. The staff can't possibly be customer service driven. They're driven for profit and for bonuses and commissions and that kind of stuff. And a lot of them, they don't have the knowledge. They might be telling you that this couch is 100% leather. It probably isn't, but that's what their boss told them. So that's just what they're going to, spill back over to you on that one.
Right. And I think that's something that definitely, that authenticity and that, family culture that you guys have really shines through. Because ultimately you guys are family run.
You bet.
Right?
Yeah, second generation. And they're actively involved, but they also give their staff, they empower their staff to be able to make decisions confidently, knowing I can sit here with you and say, yes, if this table's broken, I'm going to replace it for you. I don't have to call a shareholders meeting. I don't have to get in front of a CEO.
Get an approval.
Exactly. I can just replace the damn side table. That's it. Like it seems so easy, but at other stores, it's a lot of hoops you got to jump through to get that done.
And then if you don't have somebody managing that, that's time and energy that the designer or the client has to deal with that.
Unbillable hours.
Right.
Such a nasty word, but there's so many of them in the industry, and that's what we try and reduce. Like if a designer's working on a project, I want them to be able to bill for every hour they can because they need to make a living. They need to be able to spend time with their family and have downtime, and I want them to be able to take a vacation.
And are you also on your billable hours? Where do you find is the best investment of your time in terms of like developing yourself, developing the business, developing your knowledge around the collection to be able to create and transit that value into your clients? So is that, online? Is it going to events like High Point? Is it PKs with reps? Like, what is it that gives you the most value so that you can translate that to the design community?
I think they're relying on us mainly for the product knowledge. I've got way better people on staff that can do spreadsheets and get them quotes and that kind of stuff way quicker than I could. they're coming here because we've got the product knowledge. We're going to High Point Market. We're meeting with our reps. We're learning about all the different vendors. And we're having conversations with them. We're talking to our designers and finding out what's trending, what kind of budgets they have for couches, what style are you looking for occasionals, and really taking their feedback and going to market and saying, okay, here's what everyone's asking that we don't have kind of that right fix for. Here's what I need to solve for them. So again, it's just that problem solving element that if you just listen to your clients, they're going to tell you what you have to do.
And then you just have to execute.
Just have to execute.
It's
that easy, right?
I wish. In terms of how we execute, is there anything you guys have implemented in terms of like new softwares or processes that have been revolutionary for you guys over the last few years? And through that transition to direct to trade, like tell me a little bit about like the communication channels. How are we, keeping track of individual designer accounts? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, I mean, we've got our CRM, which, just a wealth of information there, which helps us out just to be able to help, one with marketing, two with helping designers kind of go from entry level and building them up to medium. How do they get higher end clients? How do we get the more projects, where are they kind of suited there? As far as us as a company, really it's the ETA spreadsheets. So it's just a live link. We've got a full-time staff member that just checks ETAs all day on everyone's project and just updates it. It's a live link, so there's no phone calls, there's no emails. Again, you just want to reduce that designer's unbillable hours. So if they can just click a link, make sure everything's on track and on time, that's a game changer for sure.
That's awesome. With the whole conversation around marketing, it's really interesting that you mentioned the CRM system, because like customer relationship management in a relationship focused business, right?
Huge, yeah.
How often are you touching base with your like key clientele? Is it happening on a project by project basis? I met a designer yesterday, for example,
yes. Uh-huh.
Tammy.
Yeah.
And so she says, halfway through the meeting, she's like, this is so great. I can't wait to start working with you. And I have to go see Jim. I go, oh, you're going to see Jim. And she's like, yeah, every time I'm in town, I talk to Jim. So how are you able to, maintain such strong relationships? Because really like relationship management is part of marketing and business development, right? So
I think it's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think just having, again, like a supportive staff around you where I know I can sit with, a designer from out of town and I can spend an hour and a half talking with them. Somebody's in my emails. They're still getting the quotes out. They're still doing the ETA checks. My response time isn't suffering while I'm still out talking to a client, learning about maybe the hiccups she's having, maybe about the wins and the successes she's having, and just taking all that information in so that, when we go to grow in a different area or a different city, we've already kind of know what the improvements we need to make in that area is for them.
What is the next market that you're interested in?
I mean, Kelowna's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that city. So that one I've had my sights on for a while.
Nice.
Yeah.
And are you thinking anything else beyond? We're going to start moving east?
There's, there's some really great designers in Winnipeg and in Saskatchewan. We've got a great client base in Ontario.
And are you supporting designers in those other provinces and those other areas already from head office?
Yeah, from here already.
Yeah.
The nice part with designers, they don't necessarily need a physical showroom anymore.
Right.
So we can do really good business and business development in different cities without having a physical location. And from doing that, you can really learn, what the designer community is like, meet with them, get some feedback from them, and really just start the same process we did in Calgary in just different cities, without sacrificing the customer service element here. We're very mindful of making sure we're not going to take away from the service we're already giving. I'm not going to sacrifice that for anything. But if we can help other designers in other cities, while at the same time keeping the customer service element, I'd for sure look at that.
So if customer service, which I know it is a huge part of your guys' culture, tell me a story about one of the biggest fails and one of the biggest wins over the last couple of years. You don't have to use any names, but
I don't know. I think as far as a fail, I still think it was a win on our part. It was just a fail on the way that it was viewed by the client. So she got a sectional and a chair and a half, and she didn't like the sit of the sofa. So we replaced
And
the
is
fill.
this the designer or the retail?
No, this is the client. The
This is the
designer ended
customer.
up firing the client, which had I known, it might have changed my approach a bit. But so we changed the fill cushion, the seat cushion in the sofa. And then she didn't like how far out the seat cushion sat on their chair and a half. So we sent that back to the vendor. He sent it back and she said, no, now it's too small. So we replaced the entire chair. Most stores wouldn't have gone to that level. Fast forward a year and a half, she sends us an email and she goes, yeah, I don't like the stuff, I want to return it. She's then since moved to a different province. I'm like, well, that's not really an option at this point. Like, we've kind of gone above and beyond. There's nothing more we can do for you on that one. Goes to the Better Business Bureau, reports us, all that kind of stuff. I send the guy from the Better Business Bureau all we've done, and he's like, you've gone above and beyond any store we've ever come across. Don't worry, this case is closed. We're going to let her know that, you did your due diligence. So it was nice on our part. She was obviously still really upset at us, but from the designer standpoint, when I reached out and said, here's all we've done, I'm sorry, like, your client is still upset, but we've literally moved mountains to make this person happy. And she goes, oh, I fired her 2 years ago. I can't remember. I'm like, great. But at least it showed the designer how far we're willing to go to
Your
make
guys'
sure the client's happy.
commitment, 100%.
Exactly. When it comes to wins, I don't know, anytime I see any post or just any designer when they do a completion, to me, that's a nod to the whole team here. Like, when you see the delivery go so smooth, the designer emails and says your delivery guys were great, the clients are super happy, that's what gets us through the day.
Many wins all day.
100%.
Yeah. When you guys are looking at, like, the expectation setting or the, FAQs of furniture, because it's very complex.
It's a lot of moving parts.
I liken it to what we do in the window fashions and the drapery world, where there's just so many components, so many things can go wrong. It's like you said, you could order a whole home. One side table comes cracked. This one's missing a leg. This one has the wrong fill in the seat, right? There's a lot of moving parts. And so, I know that we share that philosophy that we want to go over and above for our customer, over and above for the client. But we're not going to be 100% all the time.
No, right? It's impossible. And you just got to set those expectations from the start. And that's
And what are some of those expectations, and how do you have that conversation at the front end?
Usually if it's a brand new designer, if I'm, having my first meet with them, I'm going to tell them straight up, we're human beings. You're dealing with furniture. Things are going to happen. As much as I'd love to say we're going to be perfect and I'm going to make you happy all the time, something at some point is going to go wrong and I'm going to disappoint you. How to combat that is more, I want to make sure I've got some wins in my column with you where I've helped you out. Maybe I lent you a chair because the other one was back ordered. Maybe, your client had a great meeting in the store and they're thrilled and now they want to do their whole house instead of just one room. I want to make sure I've got some favors that I've won, so that when I call you and give you some bad news, you're going to remember when we were there kind of in a good time,
right?
And kind of came to the rescue a time or two.
Yeah.
And then really just teaching them how to onboard clients, giving them feedback and sharing other designers' wins. Say, well, I've heard this designer did this when they onboard a client. It seems to really work for them. If you're struggling with clients going kind of stray on you and trying to go to other stores and that kind of stuff, here's what other designers have used in their contract to combat that. And then really try and help and just consult them in that part. Because again, like, I care about them in the store, but I care about their business and them as a person. So if I can help them make their job less stressful, that's what it's all
about.
Exactly.
And I think that transparency, that honesty, and that, like, commitment to collaboration and to actually helping people develop their business outside of just making a buck is so rare. And I think that's probably why so many people love you.
I hope so. I mean, we do our best, right? And that's, again, like, that's why we're referring people to you guys. When you find other people in the industry that have that same mindset, that same customer service kind of principle, you're going to refer them. I think that's why designers thankfully refer us to their friends. And that's why when they trust us, referrals to somebody else, there's not many that we're going to refer them to, because we're very protective of the service they get. So, there's yourself and maybe a handful of others that we really know are going to cater to designers.
Right.
The rest, you kind of fall in that retail trap, and it's just not worth sending them down that road.
I think that's very amicable and honorable, because I think a lot of people would only do referral relationships or engage in that kind of behavior if they were compensated for it, and they don't necessarily care about the experience first. And I think that's also something that's really cool with you guys.
Thanks. And I think the whole community in the city, I think there's it's kind of that same crew that we all collaborate together, whether it's with designers or whether it's on our own, and just learn from each other as far as, what else can we do for the community? What can we do not only for our clients, but how can we help the designers grow? How can we help educate the ones that are in school? How can we help in every area so that, from the ones that are in school to the ones that are seasoned veterans, we're still able to offer some kind of assistance to them.
Are you doing any kind of like internship work, or what are you doing for the up and coming people in the design community, and what would be some tidbits you would share with them today as they're starting their journey, whether they're in year one or they're almost done school? Like what are you doing to support them now, and what kind of wisdom would you impart to somebody who's just getting going in the design world?
I mean, as far as how we're helping them right now, so we approach Bow Valley, Mount Royal. We make sure any design programs, whether it's in the Okanagan, Vancouver, here, any area that we can get into, we want to try and make sure that we're not necessarily teaching a class, but just give us some time with the students. Just let us educate them on when they come out. I don't want you to do, a quote for a client and come in really low and be able to only give them, entry-level furniture and them not be happy with not only the project, but with a designer's role entirely. So really educating them on the budgeting, that there is stuff that's made differently. There's sofas that are 12 grand, there's sofas that are 2 grand, and really educating them on the fact that that's even an option. And then likewise, kind of telling them when they come out of school to go meet your person. Find your person. I am not an expert in drapery. I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm going to send them to somebody who knows their stuff. There's way too many intricacies that I don't have a clue about. I'm going to stay in my lane, but you need to meet your person, meet your flooring person, meet your blinds person, find a furniture guy, find somebody who knows the adhesive that you use on that floor or on that wallpaper, or what blinds that you want to use in that room, that kind of thing. We know our stuff. Go find your person when you're out of school, get educated from them, because you're not going to learn it in class, unfortunately. So go find your person, get educated, find someone that you can trust so you can bring a client in and your client can get the best service possible.
On the product and the rep side. I think that's a
Absolutely.
great tidbit. It's almost like product-specific mentorship, right?
Truth. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Did you have anybody in the design business, in the design game, that you would consider a mentor, or somebody that was instrumental to your success over the years?
I mean, there's quite a few. There's a lot of designers that, when I look 15 years ago when we really started looking at what designer business would be, there's a few designers that, we met for coffee and just kind of initially quizzed and said, well, why are you not buying from us? What would it take? What are these other places doing that entice you to buy from them? So as far as a business mentor, for sure. And there still is now. There's still a few firms where if we're going to make a decision business-wise, I'm going to go sit down with them, have a coffee or have them in for a glass of wine and just say, here's what we're thinking. Does this work for your business model? Would this work for you? Would it make your life easier, or is it going to cause you ripples? And then really having that back and forth from there. Maybe it's something that it's not going to change their life one way or the other, so is it really worth doing? Or maybe it's going to set their processes and procedures backwards, so we need to look at it from our end and see how we're not going to reflect that.
That's so awesome. I've never even thought of that. I just think we know it all.
Exactly,
No.
right? It's true. We were born and we crack atoms and here we are.
Here we are. I know exactly what we're doing every day.
100%.
I think that's a really cool, again, just like that whole community and collaboration. When I talk to designers, and I ask them, like, what are some things that set one trade or one rep or one type of supplier aside from another? Almost all of them say community, collaboration, communication, that willingness to like share information and to really take ownership in their business. And I don't think a lot of people do that. And I don't think anybody does it to the level that you guys do. So it's really cool.
Good for the self-esteem.
Yeah.
I think, as far as
By the way, I mean, the sofa.
exactly. I figured that was going to cost me something somewhere. Even, as far as like the community goes, when we built this building the way we designed it, it was to host those events.
Right.
And nothing's better. I know, same as your showroom. When you have 15, 20 designers in there having their own meeting, it has nothing to do with me as a person of the company. I just want them to sit together, talk about their wins together, talk about their struggles together, see if they can help each other overcome them. Seeing that happen.
And I think it's lacking in the industry as a whole, these opportunities to connect and to share information. And I love that you guys are trying to foster that. Like, what does CF Interiors look like in 2 years or 5 years? Where do you see the business going?
I don't know if it could get any better than where it's at. We've got great clients. Business is great. Staff is great. If business grows, that means that the designers in our community are growing. That's really all we can hope for. They're thriving. They're doing great jobs. We've got a lot of designers in Calgary that are not only winning national awards, but international awards. So just seeing, I guess, our clients succeed like that, if I can just keep seeing the designers locally just keep hitting those pinnacles in their career. That's
upgrading
pretty
and
awesome to
upgrading.
see.
Yeah, that's not what I thought you were going to say. So.
No, threw you a curveball in that one, hey?
Like everything's pretty good.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's more of the same, I guess.
Right? Yeah. Like it's just, I don't know. We live a good life. We work all day with our friends.
Yeah.
And you see them succeed.
That's I'm speechless.
That's a first, eh?
Everyone's like, tell me how your business is going to look like in 1, 2, 5, 2. Everyone's got a plan or a vision. You're like, I think just this.
Right? Just this, and just, if it grows, great. If not, then I'm happy with where life's at right now.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and congratulations. I'm very happy to hear that.
Thanks.
If you were to change one thing about the way that procurement works
Yes.
in the industry as a whole today, what would it be?
Oh man, I think really just being able to, instead of that fast fashion, it seems like a lot of it's like fast furniture.
Okay.
And I think just being able to have time with some of the clients and educate them and stop them from pressing the easy button and actually putting the money that they're spending on not so great stuff, and just really learning about where they could put that money and what they could actually get for it.
And where does that information live?
Unfortunately, in a lot of our brains.
Yeah.
So again, trying to figure out whether it's through marketing, through working with news stations and that kind of stuff to try and figure out how to highlight designers, how to get them on there and show what the process is, explain the budgetary part and the procurement part, and really showing not only what the value of a designer is, but where they can save you all the time, the money, the energy, and bring you to the places that have those professionals to make sure that if you've only got $1,000, that's fine. Let's just make the most of that $1,000 you have. That's all.
What is the major benefit of working with a designer?
That's a long list. Okay, when we were retail, you would see couples come in and you could see on their face that they were exhausted.
Right.
It's like their 5th Saturday in a row going out looking at furniture stores.
Quote fatigue.
100%. And they don't know the difference. Like, this chair looks the same as any other chair and it's got fabric. They don't know what's inside it. They don't know the warranty. They don't know where it's made or who's made it or what chemicals are in it. So when you've got a designer, you've got somebody who's going to space plan it properly, make sure the sectional is facing the right direction, that it fits in the space properly, making sure that your budget is you're getting the most of it. Not always do you need a really expensive coffee table, but you're going to sit on your sofa all the time. So maybe put some priority on that. Somebody who's going to coordinate your deliveries instead of paying $200 here and $200 here and $200 here for delivery. Well, let's just get it from one shop and save the $600. Somebody who's going to actually curate your house to your livelihood, to your kids, your dog, probably your messy husband, that kind of stuff. So somebody who's going to take into account your lifestyle and bring that in so that life's going to happen in your living room, in your kitchen, wherever. At least if you put your budget to use and you've got a designer who's going to be mindful about it, it's going to hold up to it. You're not going to be stressing about, don't bring a drink in there, don't bring food in there. It's going to happen, especially with teenage boys. It's going to happen. So just plan for it, prevent it.
And I think it's really interesting because people in business will always talk about like value engineering in a company with consultants. And it's almost like designers are value engineering for the space.
Huge, yeah. I mean, you look at how many different hats they wear. I mean, they're general contractors, they're marriage counselors, they're they're therapists, they're designers. They wear 15 different hats. So instead of, we've seen couples come in and they're having a full out domestic. They're over it. They're stressed. They've decided on their lighting. They've decided on their handles in the kitchen, on their flooring. They've decided on the paint color. They're just done. Whereas if you just get a designer, they're going to be mindful. They're going to take all that in. They're going to learn from the mistakes and the lessons they've had in the past and prevent any mistakes that a normal retail client is going to make. So, not only are they going to make your house look better, you're going to get better resale value when you're actually upgrading your lighting or doing something different on the handles or being mindful about your space planning, where the walls go, that kind of stuff. So when you go to sell your house, not only is it going to pay for the designer's cost, but you're going to make money on top of it.
That I've never thought about that either, Jim.
See? All kinds of insights. You give me some sugar.
Get this man a chocolate bar.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go a little bit kind of more hard line here. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the business side, because I know, a lot of people have struggled with partnerships in the past. You're a part of a partnership, yes. And it's one of the most healthy, robust, just cohesive relationships I've seen in terms of business partnerships. So how is that made possible? What are some things that people can do? And I think I see this obviously through the lens of design and construction, because that's the world that I live in, right? That we live in. And I see a lot of dysfunctional partnerships in design and construction, whether that's designers or builders or trades and contractors. And I see more go, the way of the dinosaurs than succeed. And there's a few of them that I've seen succeed, and they really stand out and shine. And you guys are one of those. So without, giving us all the details, how have you guys been able to foster that over the last 10, 15 years?
I think just realizing what your strengths are. There's a lot of people that, want to do it all. And you might be okay at everything. But really, if I've got my strength and I stay in my lane, and, we've got another partner that, he's great with budgets. He knows where we're at for profit and loss. We've got one that's great with marketing and just being the face of the company. We've got one that's great with the HR and the hiring and the personnel and just the structure, the policies, procedures, that kind of stuff. If we all stay in our own lane and just give feedback on, again, how one change is going to affect our area, and just constant open communication, and really just all striving for the same goal. You've got that common goal in mind, and you just pursue it.
Aligned vision, check your ego, and communicate.
Truth. There you go. Well said. It's going on my business card.
I might put it on mine too.
Add that first, and then I'll take it out. Yeah.
5-year plan, done. It's pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
When it comes to the other side of that coin, conflict's going to arise.
Absolutely.
With partners, with staff. What are some of the things that you guys do to resolve conflict? Twofold: one, within the organization between partners or between the team, and two, when you do run into sticky situations with customers. I know, we always want to go over and above and make sure that ultimately they have a positive experience, but that's not always possible. And so, what are some of the things you do in that arena of conflict to resolve things amicably and to move forward?
I think from a partnership standpoint, just making sure you're not repeating mistakes. If it's something we've done and we failed at, which there's lots of those, just not repeat them. Just learn from those and adapt to it. If it's something where we can't all agree on one decision, ask our clients. They're going to be, at the end of the day, they're the ones who are going to tell us if that's working or not. So we just have 10 of them in, go to a firm, do a little focus group, quiz them, and just get them to actually tell you what your answer is going to be.
Solid.
When it comes to the clients and that kind of stuff, the nice part with working with designers is you're dealing with business to business. So they understand that stuff happens. They understand that there's mistakes, or that profit's not necessarily a bad word. We want them to make profit. We need to make profit to keep the lights on and stay here for them for the next 20 years. So you can have just an open, transparent conversation. Say, here's our struggle. Here's the issue. Here's what you want done. Where can we compromise?
Yeah.
What can we do?
Cool. In that world of, profit, I think it's really interesting because, like you said, profit's not a bad thing. It's what ultimately allows a business to exist, right? How do you find the balance between, making the margins that are needed and still providing value and products that, to save the customer the headache of having to go and shop around? How do you find that number or that product mix?
I mean, it's interesting. You're kind of handcuffed by the internet, right? Your price is your price. You can only sell what something's selling for online. So you have to be mindful of that. You still have to make it worthwhile for the client, the designer, and for ourselves. So you really have to be fussy with the brands that you're dealing with. You want to make sure that the brands you're dealing with don't have tons of warranties and tons of claims and a lot of stuff where you're going to lose that profit. So you want to make sure the people that you're aligning yourselves with are quality. You also want to make sure that we're fighting. Like when I go to High Point, yes, I'm there to look at the furniture. Yes, I'm there to see what's new, but I'm also there to talk to the rep and the owner of that vendor and say, listen, I need better margins. I need, lower MSRP so people are going to actually source from you because it's too expensive, or I need better freight charges, or I need a bigger discount for the designers. If you're mandating I can only give 15, I need you to get me to 20. Then the designers will start buying from you. So really just having those business discussions to advocate for not only us, but the designers as well.
And I think that's probably true from a designer's perspective as well when they're looking at what trades, sourcing companies, and contractors are working with as well, right? Like it's so important to work with quality people.
Yeah, you want to work with somebody who's honest, transparent, and who knows their stuff, and is going to be is going to be able to tell you when they can help and when they can't help. When it's out of their league, or to say, listen, this is out of our realm. We've kind of got our lane that we stay in. This one, I'm not going to be a help for you. You're going to have to go somewhere else to solve that one.
And so I just need to know from my own information, how have you been able to, you're like a magnet for awesome people.
Oh, my thanks.
So, so many designers, I've met a ton of them through you by referral, and the ones that I don't know, that I didn't already know, and I bring your name up, they're like, yeah, I already work with Jim.
Oh,
so if they're clients of mine that were referred by somebody else, and I'm like, oh, if you need somebody really good for procurement and sourcing, I've got a furniture guy, great showroom, I'll make a connection. And they're like, oh, Jim, yeah, I had wine with him last Thursday. So what is it that you are doing or have done over the years beyond just operating with integrity, being a really nice guy, being transparent and communicating? Is there a secret sauce to somebody that's looking at this and saying, like, I'm interested in design and construction, whether they want to be a designer, they want to be a builder, they want to be a contractor, they want to be a trade, they want to sell drapery or lighting control, whatever, if they want to get into this space, how have you been able to create that magnetism of just good vibes and good people? Is there...
Dang.
That's
a hard one to find.
I know, that's
for sure. We need to get working on that book. I wish.
Yeah.
I think it's just being genuine is what I like to think it is. Like I get along with everybody who comes in here. I'm like I say, I'm their friend. I'm their biggest advocate, their biggest cheerleader. But they know it's not just a line. They know it's in fact me being genuinely caring about them as a human being, whether it's them leaving one firm and starting their own company, whether it's them having their first child or them getting married, or if you're involved with them and you're genuine, I would like to think they're going to refer other people to you.
Well, I am genuinely happy to call you a friend.
Well played.
And to be aligned with you in business, my friend.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.